Greetings, you fortunate peons. It is I, Bartholomew Lord Beckett, defending NWC World Champion, undefeated champion of your mother, inaugural INCW King of the Ring, winner of the PWA Grand Rumble, and the only thing truly detrimental about myself being on the microphone this evening is that you will not be graced with my skill in the ring. However, this is going to be an excellent evening. You will have my expertise and insight on the microphone so that you may have excellent coverage, so that you can have an expert's evaluation of the events in the ring. Speaking of in the ring, our first match this evening is going to be a rather formidable thing. We have Mangus the Mongol, of course accompanied by Mr. Martin Dinkle, against one of my own subjects, Robert McElroy. Now, he is, I have to say, an able subject, if not a wise one. But you will see an excellence here of what we in England call bottom. Bottom does not mean the thing that you shake when you are drunken and pants that are far too tight. No, the true definition of bottom is staying power. Some of you, I think, refer to it rather vulgarly as guts, but let us see what we have in store here. Good solid lock up right into a hip toss. Oh, very good, very good. We're seeing opening the evening with excellent technique here. And both of them showing a tendency to hit each other with the largest thing available. That is to say, the ring, which is a very sound tactic. Both very powerful men, clearly, but you can see also acts of leverage here. You don't often see this with power wrestlers. Many of them think far too much with what is between their ears. That is, whatever gunk they decide to inject with hormonal steroids. But these two seem to have it quite together. McElroy wisely going after the legs of the big man. For if a man cannot stand and move, his chances of fighting are certainly cut down. Scott. And again, leverage against the heavier man. McElroy has a reputation for a brawler, among some, but certainly a tactical fellow. He's been able to hold his own against men more powerful and greatly skilled. But Mangus the Mongol is not a man to be taken lightly. He would not be a member of DIE otherwise. And there you see, leverage plus power. This is a man who, you must understand, took his training not only from wrestling his opponents on horseback, but occasionally wrestling their horses as well. And the exhaustion is setting in, not from a lack of conditioning, mind you. He's both very much specimens. much like your mother. However, the amount of punishment they are each putting each other through is a testament, both old and new, one might say. And the keen lock up into an Irish whip. Strictly speaking, the Irish whip was developed in Wales, but Welsh whip just does not have a ring to it. More brutal strikes from the Mongolian, but sound tactic from the Scot. If he wins this, there may be a knighthood in it for him.
5 minutes gone.
Now we have that vital organ attack. If you recall, I mentioned that one of Mangus's initial training techniques was to wrestle horses. Don't know how many of you have tried to strangle a horse with your bare hands, but it is a formidable task. Can you imagine all of that power on your vitals? Of course, I would never fall victim to such as that.
Give up.
Now trying to pull the Scotsman apart. But McElroy has more bottom than that and refused to tap out. Found a way to use his own reserves of power against it. All he need do is outlast the larger man, but there is something that the Mongolian has. 1, 2, no such fortune. There is something the Mongolian has that McElroy does lack, and that is the skilled guidance of an intelligence such as Mr. Martin Dinkle. Mr. Martin Dinkle, who has of late been offering a contract to Mr. McElroy, if you recall. This is very likely a tryout session. And McElroy, if he does win this, is very much earning this. Oh, now the discombobulation of being upside down, but he escaped it before his knees were attacked, and now he's wrenching away. You know, I've seen this before. Yes, I was attending a rodeo once, and that's a very similar tactic to attacking steers, apparently, which I don't know why Yanks would do that, but there it is, and apparently it's a sound tactic against Mongolians. It's too bad it is not long-lasting, and the Mongolian using his head, as only a Mongolian can. Vicious slam, and this may be it for the Scot. No. It approached the 3, but not close enough, and here! Equal use leverage, not quite a snap suplex, but certainly over the man's hip. And now we go Brutta Forsini. Both of them trying to find out which one will last. Oh my goodness! A bit of nonchalance from the Scot, and he turns it into a vicious submission hold. To no avail. You'll notice Mr. Martin Dinkle has yet to interfere, as some of you would put it. There is no need to, not with the skill and power of his man there. Very awkward angle for a dropping headbutt, and he paid for it. Now, it is the Scot's turn. A knee squarely in the small of the back. That's a very, very sensitive area. If you don't believe me, ask your mother. We may have it here. Will he go for the pin? Yes. 1, 2. Ah, not quite enough. Not quite enough. Keep at it, lad. Keep at it. I'm sure there's many of you out there who were thinking that they would be getting an utterly biased in one direction or another commentary from one such as myself. Clearly you can see that there is no bias here. These are both formidable men. And I, being the, how do you put it, straight shooter that I am, will call every one of these matches down the middle. Goodness sakes, Mr. McElroy is relentless. Sent on falling squarely on his target, now dragging him away from the corner, away from the ropes, and into another pin. 1, 2, and... Nope. That was nearly it. That was nearly it. But as you can see, Martin Dinkle clearly saw something amiss. Now, I did not see that. I am usually in the middle of those situations, but a good manager knows how to see things from the outside of a pin, outside of the ring, outside of the situation. Fortunately for Mangus, he's getting a fair shot. 2. Another close one, but no such fortune. Mongolian is formidable. I understand he used to race horses as well, as in foot racing horses, as opposed to simply taking them down. But McElroy, this man of iron, this fellow from the north, has just suffered a catastrophe. Mongolian death drop. Will it be the end? No. Mangus is a formidable fellow, but he needs to take his pinning much more seriously than that if he is going to get the best of the wily Scot. Knee to the breadbasket, and in comes another knee to the small of the back. That's a terribly vicious move, and somehow the Mongolian is back to his feet. No, reversed. The Scot had it scouted. Scotted, you might say. I'm funny. Vicious bulldogging, face straight to the mat. And lock they up again. Oh, met with a vicious headbutt. You do not want to be headbutted by a Mongolian. With a mighty war cries off to the ropes. Sledgehammer blow to behind. And another vicious death drop and another nonchalant pinning. Will it be enough? Certainly not. You know, there's a reason it took a particular kind of king to subdue the Scots. Some of them simply do not know when to quit, and this is a fine case. And a spring heel jack DDT. Oh my goodness, he must not have got all of that. The Mongolian came right up and back to him with another sledgehammer blow. This is incredible. In no other promotion, in no other promotion will you see this sort of punishment, this sort of intestinal fortitude. And another spring heel jack DDT. Will this be the one? He's pinned, but he's pinned in the ropes. Not what the referee sees. He's being explained to by Master Dinkle. But the punishment continues, even as the blind referee has his blinder side to the action. Of course. Another shoulder throw. The Ponseonagi for our international crowd. Another pin taken much more seriously. Two, and another kick out by the wily Scot. And another escape from certain punishment. He's waiting for it. Flies through the air with a missile drop kick. Oh, excellent form. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a sacrifice move. One shoulder missed, one shoulder hit, and toward the middle of the ring for another much more serious pin. 1, 2, and no, that was getting closer. Slammed completely out of the ring. Usually that goes right onto the Spanish announcing table, but this time there's a fair miss. Oh my goodness. Did the ref see that? No, apparently not. Apparently not. Once more. Blind as ever, but that's fortunate. That's fortunate. No rules are needed in this match. I think these two men are clear warriors. And testing each other's mettle viciously here. Ha! Metal tested. Another slam, this time to stay into the ring. Now bring him to the center, go for your pin or go for the international object there. No, vicious elbow drop from which the Mongolian springs forth. Vicious shot to the breadbasket. 1, 2, and very close, very close. I do think Mr. McElroy's arm was pinned beneath the mat there for a moment, but nothing is stopping this vicious man from the British Isles. He's doing my island very proud. And a submission move. And a most effective submission. Mongolian in an excellent bit of judgment to preserve his career and fight another day. Unfortunately for him, this will go on his record, but Master McElroy, if anything, has proven his worth to DIE, and most assuredly that contract of his is in the proverbial bag. I'd like to take this opportunity to bring something to everyone's attention now. As you know, I am not normally an announcer for these events. I am much more used to being the center of attention where I belong. However, there is an announcer who has come up on rather hard times, Master Chester Lemon of INCW. Now, he has suffered grand and unjust abuse. So I am doing two things for him. First of all, I am petitioning for his position here, in this seat. There is nothing I would like more than to have my matches called by a man of such excellent speaking and insight. But more than that, I have begun a Please Fund Me for Mr. Lemon to cover his medical expenses from when he was unjustly hurt on the job. Now, the reason I bring this up is because many people seem to know about it. Unfortunately, not all of them are taking this seriously. They are not taking into consideration the fact that Master KB Chronic hurt one of his own employees and offers neither recompense nor apology. Also, they are not taking into consideration Master Lemon's many good works. This is a man who supports puppies. Should be taking this much more seriously. Our goal, of course, is $1,200,000. And all we have collected thus far is $173.63 in IOUs. Now, this is shameful. This is utterly shameful. So I want you to all examine your consciousness, examine your consciences, as we see this next match. Masked Saboteur number 1 in the ring with Titus Love, a man who is quite impressive considering the many faults with himself with which he must contend, but an understanding of technique is certainly not one of them in that particular case. He goes into a power contest, and no, he's not going to best the Masked Saboteur in manners of power. We have two very interesting groups here. The Masked Saboteurs are an elite trained group. Their manager, Drillmaster George Prescott III, king of managers. We're just full of royalties today, aren't we? But he would not have taken them on work otherwise, and they have very old-fashioned catch-as-catch-can, and combined with this American rough and ready style that brought the profession to its heights. And a certain vicious streak, which I must say I admired. On the other hand, you have here Titus Love, whose technique is primarily hedonism. One of them is seeing stars, 6 of them, I believe. And now we have true talent in the ring, Cynthia Love. Thinking wisely of it, the Masked Saboteurs make a tag. And now she faces Masked Saboteur number 1. You can see the true forward thinking of this group. This southern-style wrestling, as they call it, that they are quite associated with, is usually associated with people who have a rather bigoted and biased nature to them. But as you can see, he has no qualms with hitting a female if it is in a competitive situation. This is completely equal opportunity athletic competition. And speaking of athletic competition, Cynthia Love holding her own, although she looks like she may be in serious trouble. No, getting her space, good, getting her distance, and showing exactly what she thinks of her opponent. Good form. But the old school is the best school, and Masked Saboteur number 1 is again wrenching at her, hoping that she will tap out, but I can tell you from personal experience, she does not submit that easily. And now her husband Titus is in the ring again with closed fist strikes. Now he hopes that this will be the end of it, but certainly not. The Masked Saboteurs are a cagey pair. And now he is about to face both their wrath. Entirely out of the ring.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
To be thrown again. If he's fortunate, he will be counted out, but that requires a 20 count. It requires that your referee be able to count to 20. Most of them cannot count to 3. Now we are back with Mr. Titus Love and Masked Saboteur number 1 in the ring. Vicious fist drop. Of course, that was a strike to the head, and that's not liable to do Titus much harm. Oh, but this certainly will. These gentlemen are not only brawlers and grapplers, but competent when it comes to their submission holds. Fortunately, Cynthia was there to get her husband out of that terrible situation. A senton bomb that I've been on the receiving end of myself. But the Masked Saboteurs, plenty of bottom, as I said. By the by, I have been alerted as to some of the commentary that the rest of you peons are sending through. You filthy, dirty minds. Another tag made, and Cynthia Love is now in the unmerciful grip of Masked Saboteur number 1, who goes to the top rope. Vicious flying kick. Oh my goodness, poor dear. Off the ropes into another of those sledgehammer blows to the back, right between the shoulders. Unfortunately, Cynthia is not used to dealing with such great power on a regular basis. I blame Titus for that, frankly. Into the corner, into her own corner, which is a rather cheeky move on the Saboteur number 1's part. And more viciousness. However, she is immediately to her feet and in his face.
10 minutes gone.
Quick tag to the lesser of the Loves, who got in her way, clearly. Flying fist, but true to form, Titus Love is very good at running away from where the action is. Slipping behind, another closed fist strike from him. Masked Saboteur number 1 quick to his feet, though. Titus thinks that is going to take care of him. He's in for a rude awakening, and fortunately, good wife that she is, good woman that she is, she comes and takes care of her partner. Not that he deserves it. And Masked Saboteur number 1 thrown into the ropes, but completely reverses it on Titus. Both the Saboteurs giving another straight out of the ring, which is good. Frankly, Titus does not belong in a wrestling ring that has had my presence. I'm sure that Titus is now considering that he's not had enough breakfast for this. and going toe-to-toe. Yes, they're both using closed-fingered fists. But you must say, Titus started it. And Masked Saboteur number 1 intends to finish. Quickly, he goes back to the superior member of the Love team. Titus causing a distraction, and Cynthia causing a distraction as well. Now it is free for all. Full on Barmy as the Masked Saboteurs. Going in 2 different places. Fortunately, Masked Saboteur number 1 is in the ring where he belongs. Cynthia as well. Vicious kick to the middle. She is taking no chances. She wants to make sure and goes for the mask. Now that is a tactically sound thing. Trying to turn the mask around his head. And there goes for a submission hold. Fortunately, Masked Saboteur number 1 comes in to disrupt it. And Masked Saboteur number 1 goes for the pin. 1, 2. No such good fortune. One really must consider this a handicap match, as the Masked Saboteurs are a fantastic team. Poor Cynthia Love, my dear, practically in there by herself, even when Titus is present. And the same complaint from her about their bedchamber. Off the ropes, and no, Cynthia gets to her feet, and the Masked Saboteur number 1 thinks twice of that. Good girl. Should dodge that, but both of them clearly winded. Another tag to the unreliable, but 2 of them have actually taken out 1. Saboteur number 1, that is. But now the clear advantage seems to be with Titus, now that his wife has done most of the work. No, once more free-for-all, my goodness. I understand that is the most rolling he does in an evening. 2. No such good fortune. I do hope that the Masked Saboteur number 1 was wearing a cup. Otherwise there could be legal proceedings. Cynthia doing the best she can to hold the powerful man back. Good tag partner that she is. Titus taking full advantage of it. He has no hope otherwise. Should have gone for that pin. Oh, but he's going for his own submission move there. Oh, Cynthia. What was he showing? What was that? The musculature of a turnip. Now this should be an ending move in and of itself. However, that was a head strike to Titus Love, so it likely will not have the effect that was wished. Brains enough to go back to the true member of this team as she picks up the advantage for them. And this is disgusting, isn't it? Yes. That illegal man, that terribly illegal man. Another come to locks. It was a flamboyant head attack by Cynthia. And very nearly ended it. She's such a professional. Masked Saboteur number 1 to the top. Knee to the midsection. But as you can see, he's clearly exhausted. Cynthia has great stamina. It's no wonder she's outlasting him. Oh, here we go. Another vicious submission move. Broken up by that. It's cheating. Why hasn't the ref called anything on Titus? Hopefully that will show Titus the... Oh, what's this? What's this? Did Masked Saboteur number 1 strike her with that chair? No, clearly. Referee was much too close. Tags made. Fresh men, no, old men, and one lovely woman in the ring now. Hopefully the referee is able to keep up with Titus Love and Ring Saboteur, Mass Saboteur number 1. Titus is having trouble keeping up with Mass Saboteur number 1. You can see that the Mass Saboteurs, besides being powerful men, have great precision. Would have taken great precision to strike that target. And one blow and down he goes. Vicious power slam, 2, and... Good woman that she is, she breaks it up. Yes, you're very clever, Titus. You have married such a wonderful woman. Drop of the knee. And now they are standing toe-to-toe once more. Now they're standing nose-to-toe. Titus using his head in the only way that's advantageous for him. But locked up again, and another vicious power slam, unfortunately, into the ropes. And then there's this thing again. Titus, what are you doing, man? This is obscene. Mass Saboteur number 1 not taken off of guard. Immediately goes after them both. Cynthia tries to take advantage. She's good at that too. Unfortunately, the Mass Saboteur seems to have her number. Or so he thought. That's right, love, show. You've got the talent, show it. Would have been a fine pin, likely have ended the match, but it was in the ropes. And now another grand submission move, twisting his head almost all the way around. Clearly see that Mass Saboteur number 1 is discombobulated. He's been going for these pins after those head attacks. Much too close to the ropes. Up, and now dear Cynthia is out of the ring, and gentleman that George Prescott is going to help her up. Unfortunately for him, she's here for business. Speaking of business, she's giving the business to Mass Saboteur number 1. Another nearly 3 count. Now we have all combatants in the ring once more. The athleticism on display here is unparalleled, one accepted. Another tag, will they make use of it? No, the Mass Saboteurs most wily. Unfortunately, Titus is smart enough to flee as usual. Shows him how to make a proper headbutt. I've heard accusations before that there are plates inside of those masks. Do not see why they would need that. Another move. Another man showing off what he has very little of. Yes. Get up off of your knees. You're not in my presence. Mass Saboteur number 1 back into the ring, and we have the men rolling about again in a most disconcerting way. Good heavens. Had a cat like that once. Oh no, did he strike her again with that steel chair? Was that a vicious... Poor Cynthia. While she was being struck over the head with a chair, her husband lost the match for the pair of them. Successfully taken down by Mass Saboteur number 1 to an abdominal vice. Again, one of those old, soundly tested maneuvers in the realm of professional wrestling. And Prescott has plenty of reason to be proud. The next match on the docket will be coming up soon. Again, I would like to remind you all of the Please Fund Me effort for Mr. Chester Lemon, as well as the effort going forth, the petition being sent about electronically, I believe it is, to have him instated as the regular announcer for PWA. Now, mind you, PWA has the finest athletes, the finest talent, is the greatest wrestling promotion that is in existence this day. But the one place where we've always had a weakness is among the announcers. Now, clearly you're having among the best of it right now, but I cannot be here the entire time, children. I think that Mr. Chester Lemon is going to add so much to this organization, to this the display of athletic prowess, showmanship, professionalism, this excellent displays of bottom. Speaking of displays of bottom, we have an interesting pair here. We have the Master Derek Arzon, who I can tell you from personal experience is formidable to a point, and his opponent, the Masked Shooter, who had a career up to a certain point.
Fight!
Well, they're certainly off to a warm start. I cannot imagine but that this has more to do with that wild family soap opera that is continuing. The outdated old man who's been told to retire and refuses to admit to his decrepitness. We have this young fellow who thinks he's going to be able to get into a well-established wrestling familial dynasty simply by taking up with one of its daughters. However, credit where it's due. Derek Arzon is formidable, otherwise he would not have had the grace and opportunity to lose in matches to me a year or two ago. The Masked Shooter, well, he does have experience, I'll give him that. Unfortunately, he also has the calcium deposits and arthritis and decades and decades and decades of torn muscles. Wise though he is, going for the younger man's legs. Arzon using his height. Wait, what the?
Give up?
What even is this? Is he trying to pull his shoe off? Is that what that maneuver is? The shoehorn? Now they're simply hitting each other. Less a test of metal and more of we cannot think of what to do now. Mind you, that's not entirely their fault. Master Derek Arzon has a lack of experience. Sharp forearm. Now I will give this to the Masked Shooter. Excellent form. His better manners than to strike someone with a closed fist, and is clearly losing his sense of where the ring is. Okay, well now he's turned it over again, and this time away from the ropes. That's right, away from the ropes. Saint Sarah.
5 minutes gone.
You know, for a man who's trying to date into the family, Master Arzon is being rather vicious with the elder man's head. And this was always a weakness of Arzon's, as I recall. This was even before I had developed fully the vicious ending move, the Pax Britannica, the deadliest career-ending maneuver in professional wrestling today. But that was a weakness of his. If the Shooter can end this quickly before his heart and everything else gives out and have the younger man tap out, he may have this match. And now he sets. This is another thing that the masked shooter and I have in common. Vicious kicking technique. Mine comes from Savat. His comes from likely that padded up rugby game that Americans play that constantly stops the clock. But Arzon seems to have some leverage here. Up with the man, polite enough to see him face to face and throw him back down again. Striking him with the hardest surface he can. The largest object, the ring. Now gentlemanly, lifting him up again. Arzon, of course, going for the cheap shot. He did that many times against myself, but I'm not bitter. Terrible lot of circling there. Here we are. Irish whips down upon his arm. And there's a wonder there's anything of that shoulder left. But certainly enough to deal with a plucky young tard like himself. Taking him away from the ropes, wise move this time, but lifting him back to his feet. He should have finished him there. There's a disgusting amount of fair play in this. Arzon going for one of those high-flying power moves. I've plucked him out of the air more than once while he does that. And another closed fist right to the elder man's mouth. Shameful. The referee should have called it right there. He should probably call it for both of them, one for lack of experience and one for far too much. But here we go. The shoot. A formidable submission move. Let us give it credit where it is due. No Pax Britannica, but quite effective. I don't know how many of you peons, you peasants out there have been bent in half lengthwise, but it is a very similar experience.
Give up.
Going for what's left of the old man's knees, but he fights his way out of it. And again going after that shoulder, rather viciously. Arzon may find himself sleeping on the couch this evening. Or in the house where the dog is kept, one of the two. Assuming he's allowed to sleep. He keeps going back to that shoulder. Now, first of all, that does show a certain level of viciousness that he certainly learned in his time competing with me, but I must say it also shows a rather serious lack of disrespect. Very close, but nothing for the elder man. Another more complicated than it needs to be pin, another very close count. The masked man. That's the slam of Oklahoma, if I believe I'm correct there. Welsh whips him into the corner. And setting him up for something rather vicious. Will it be brain buster? Wasted technique, but it seems to have stunned him. 1, 2, and 3. Well, I think we've all learned a valuable lesson here. Youth, inexperience, hot-headedness, and an utter disrespect for the profession will not prevail against experience and technique, even when the vessel of that is practically dust. Now, for those of you who are just joining us, let me reintroduce myself. I am Bartholomew, Lord Beckett, Scottish Lord and a World Champion, the defending, reigning NWC World Champion, the undefeated champion of your mother, the inaugural INCW King of the Ring, and the winner of the PWA Grand Rumble, hosting this evening episode number 52 of Battery. No doubt to be a classic. Now, our final match, the headliner of this evening, because I am here, is another DIE competition. We have here Crusher Khrushchev. No, not Crusher. Yuri Khrushchev. Perhaps they're kin. But he has had his back Mr. Martin Dinkel. And a good thing, too, the man is an excellent professional manager. And they are facing the Factor. Well, let's see how this goes. Bitter? What do they mean bitter? I'm not bitter. I just said I wasn't bitter. That's a sad testament, but a terrible cheap shot. Bitter. Well, of course I'm salty. Your mother appreciates that, but I'm not bitter. I said I wasn't bitter. I'm not bitter. There's no reason for me to be bitter about the way that particular engagement ended. Furthermore, it was not a loss on my part. The man clearly took every cheap shot that he could. And I hope you're all listening to this quite accurately. This claim is pure truth. Pure truth, complete and utter truth, and I will not be repeating myself on this matter again.
Fight!
Circling and a lock... Pardon. Circling and a lock-up, and the Russian has the advantage immediately. Factor is an able athlete, but I do wonder if he has factored in everything that this Olympican athlete before him can do. The Mongolian took some of his training wrestling horses. This man took some of his training wrestling bears. From what I understand. Handicap matches. Not that he was wrestling anyone who was handicapped, that means there was multiple bears against him. You see, strictly speaking, that's called a handicap, when one is held back in a certain way.
Give up?
Or outnumbered. This is what in the profession is called... why am I explaining this to you? Peasants. Half of you suffer from that mentally, I'm sure. Now there's a vicious move. Again, wise tactic, going after the legs... Beg pardon for ladies out there. The limbs of the Olympican, who comes right back, attacking other limbs. And you see here, clearly, the Russian outweighs the Factor, but leverage does play into that as well. Leverage that Khrushchev is going to be taking away very shortly, the more he works on Factor's arms. Certainly such punishment as that will factor into his eventual victory. Oh, I am on the proverbial roll this evening. Another vicious drop.
Give up?
Now some would have seen that one as a submission move, but rather no. There's not going to be enough time for someone like the Factor to submit to a move like that. This is a submission move. The other one was essentially suffocation. Stuffing the Factor's own shoulder into his mouth so that he could not breathe. Wisely going after the legs again, but he's going to have to do much better than that against someone with as much bottom as the Russian. He'll also do much better than stand toe-to-toe with someone who clearly outpowers him. And now he leaps. The fountain. Trickle, trickle, trickle. This is not ballet, Factor. As you see, thrown out of the ring. Khrushchev, being the competitor he is going back out, and Factor fleeing for his life. Now this is a classic. Grant you, it's not an innovative move, but there's a reason it has been used for centuries. One of the foundational moves at Verha, one of the foundational moves of Greco-Roman wrestling. And I do mean the ancient Greeks. Seems Factor is beginning to have second thoughts about this entire thing. First he flees, and now he is utterly manhandled. Taking every advantage he can as the Russian gives him a chance, catching his breath. And another sly slip away from the Factor. If he can remain this quick for the majority of the match, he has the slightest of chances. But the more he is caught in grappling maneuvers such as this, the more advantage the heavier man has. By the by, I've just received word. Dinkle International Enterprises has made a donation to the Please Fund Me campaign for Mr. Chester Lemon.
Give up.
And I won't be so gauche as to say how many thousands it is, but the rest of you who have not yet contributed any more than well wishes and prayers should feel more than ashamed of yourself. Speaking of shame, off the top rope comes the Factor. Right into the Russian's boot. He rushed into that one. Oh, maybe I should do this more often. I'm quite a wit. Feeling the full force of a Siberian winter into his back. And now may be the opportunity. Another submission hold. As you see, being the Olympican that he is, Khrushchev does not want merely a pin. Oh, he'll likely go for one if this match takes much too longer, but he wants his opponent to know that he has had to surrender. It's one of the reasons that I developed the Pax Britannica as sharply as I have, because that's a true victory in professional wrestling, having your opponent surrender to you.
Hey.
Leaping about like a gadfly, but the Russian is back on his feet, and the Factor is beginning to wonder. You can see, what does he have to do to stop this nightmare? 1, 2, very nearly 3. Speaking of jokes, your mother says hello. Yes, I can see you, Mr. Bloomfield. I see everything that you write. I'd say you should be ashamed of yourself, but shame could not be housed in such a thing as you. It's far too full of shame to accommodate any more. These two athletes, doing much pride for the PWA. And Khrushchev, all but crippling his opponent. Very quick reaction on the part of the Factor, going after the legs again, moving quickly, moving desperately, hoping that the referee will get there in time, which of course he will not, because he is in fact a referee. Mr. White maybe should take up the same retirement contract as the shooter. 1, 2. And no, the Factor will have to do much more against the mighty Khrushchev if he plans to get a pin. And unwisely going toe-to-toe. The man who makes up most of Siberia. Tried to take his on, but you understand, it's going to take much more than that to take down someone with the pedigree, training, and yes indeed, the bottom. Master Khrushchev, 1, 2, very nearly that. One wonders if he's not toying with him at this moment. Mr. Martin Dinkle is certainly not the least bit concerned. Generous man that he is, he's at ringside right now, handing out $1 bills to the orphans. Oh, those aren't orphans, never mind. And does he give up? Does he surrender to the Siberian nightmare? He's got Factor in such a lather that sweat helped him to slip out. And at times, in the ring, is just such factors, if you will, as that can help you to win a match. Going to the top again. Another leg drop. Will he? No, not going for a third. His foot is in the rope. His foot is on the rope. His foot is on the rope. Of course, the referee did not see that. It's going to take more than a single foot on the rope for leverage to keep down Khrushchev. Factor taking his time, drawing his finger across his throat. Now going for this modified figure 4 of his. He got Factor 4. Very, very clever. The Factor 4. Being clever certainly did not help the man there. nor there. Khrushchev in a punishing mood. Factor doing everything he can, wearing himself nearly out completely. But, as I mentioned, the lasting power of this great Olympian athlete, his bottom is certainly showing. And once more to the top rope to show the younger man how it is done, and leaves him seeing 6 stars. I'm not doing the entire thing. I know what you want me to say. You may all go fish.
1, 2, 3.
Now, if the Factor knows what is good for his career, he will stay outside.
6.
Instead, he brings in an international object simply because he is fighting an international opponent. Does not justify this travesty of justice. If he lands on it, well, there's not much that can be done about that. 2 and 3. And a just victory for Dinkle International Enterprises once more. A worthy organization, a worthy pool and school of professional wrestling talent, soon to be enhanced by one of my Scottish subjects, no doubt. And anyone else who has the good for... Now, of course, I do not need to sign with them. I am quite secure in my career and have been for some time. However, if anyone is graced with an invitation to join Dinkle International Enterprises, if anyone has the skill, the fortitude, the experience, and indeed the bottom to join that organization, they certainly should. Well, that concludes episode 52 of Battery. I have been your host this evening, Bartholomew Lord Beckett, defending title holder of the NWC World Championship, the undefeated champion of your mother, the inaugural INCW King of the Ring, and winner of the PWA Grand Rumble. Now, hopefully, by next week, we will have a proper designated announcer for this event. Again, the circulation is going about to get Mr. Chester Lemon into this position. And do not forget the Please Fund Me campaign to help him cover his medical and living expenses for the wounds bestowed upon him most unjustly by Mr. KB Chronic. That said, have a lovely evening, you undeserving peasants. And the next time I see you lot, I will be showing you the true nature of professional wrestling, where I belong, in the ring. God save the Queen.